2 weeks ago I posted some pictures. Me and Mason had made some sauerkraut in a jar, or prepped it for sauerkraut in a jar. And today's the 14th day, so today's the day that we're going to test it. But I've had people messaging me asking me for a recipe. The recipe is super simple. It's just cabbage and some sea salt. And I'm going to show a quick video of how to do it instead of trying to explain it and write it all out, type it all out in Messenger. It's going to be a whole lot easier to do it this way. So you guys give me a couple of minutes to get all this stuff ready and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, first things first. If you don't have a hot cup of Hunter's Blend coffee, this will not turn out. I'm just warning you, it won't turn out right. So you have to have some Hunter's Blend coffee. Some of us need Hunter's Blend coffee just to wake up in the morning, but your sauerkraut will not turn out without Hunter's Blend coffee. And you can get a discount if you put in Boner's World TV for your discount. 10%. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is take your cabbage. You're going to take all the outside leaves off of it. And you're going to save those. You're going to put those back because we're going to use those to help pack the jars. And I just take a couple outside leaves off of it. They're going to be dirty. It's already been rinsed, but you know, it hasn't been stripped down here yet. Okay, next thing we're going to do, I'm going to take a butcher knife, chef knife, meat cleaver or something, and you're going to quarter this up. Straight through the core. We're going to take that core out in a minute. This can be done more than a quarter. You want something smaller to work with. Okay, and you're going to take the core out here, and you want to put that off to the side because we are going to use that also. Oh yeah, hold on a second here. I also bought a red cabbage. I want to make some with the red cabbage, see how that turns out. So I'll make green cabbage, red cabbage, and maybe I'll mix them up in a jar. Okay, so from this point, what you're going to do, you want to go across the grain, and you're just going to start shaving your pieces off here. The thicker the cut you make, the crunchier your coleslaw or your sauerkraut's going to be. You're going to cut this until you get a pound is what you're looking for. And the salt you're going to use is sea salt. You want to make sure that you can basically use any salt you want. It just can't be iodine. You don't want any iodine in the salt. Throw that in the bowl over here. And there's about 1 pound right there. A little bit. Close enough. There's a pound. Okay, so what we're going to do now is you're going to take your bowl and you are going to, what do I do with my, there it is. I'm going to put a tablespoon of salt. A little more ain't gonna hurt anything. So you can take a tablespoon of salt, put that in there. Now, this is the fun Mason had. You're going to take this, we're going to mix the salt up in here, and they call it massaging. You're going to massage the cabbage, but I just crunch it all in there. You want to mix this, try to get all the salt over as much as you can of it, and it'll make a brine with its own salt, with its own juices. And a couple pieces I missed in there apparently. Now I don't know if you could see it in the bowl, but you can already see the salt starting to draw the moisture out of the leaves. So you massage it all in there, make sure that you got everything covered the best that you can get it covered here. Okay, now the next thing you're going to do is get a jar. And these have already been cleaned. I've already cleaned them once here. You're going to take your leaves, set them in the jar here, and you want to crush them down. This part, you want to pack it in there as best you can. You might need to get something to pack it in with. The big jars, I definitely needed something to pack them in with. But just do it in layers. Pack them in as tight as you can. I mean, you're pretty much just crushing them into the bottom of the jar here. What you'll see is eventually you'll start seeing the juices. I don't know if you can see it in here. You'll start seeing the juices start coming up as you're packing this in. And you want to crunch this right into the bottom. You need something to help, push it down in there. You can use the end of a wooden spoon or something on that order. Now, let me see if you can see better. I don't know if you can see that juice coming up in there while you're pushing it. That's going to be your brine. And at this point, what I did, now last time I did this, I didn't leave enough room at the top. And what had happened is, this will start bubbling eventually. It'll start bubbling, it'll create gases. That's the fermenting process. And it will expand in there. And I didn't leave enough headroom in there for it to expand. Okay, so now you're going to just take a piece of lettuce, or cabbage leaf, and we're just going to set that in there, and that's going to give us a base between the cabbage that we want fermented and the cabbage that we don't. And then we're going to take a piece of the core here. We're going to set that in the top. I'm going to use that to shove it right down. A little bit of it off here. what this is going to do is this is going to keep pressure, a downward pressure on that, and then keep the liquid level above the cabbage. That's an important thing. And in 3 days, we're going to check this again, check all the liquid level in here, and if the level of the liquid goes below that green piece of cabbage that we put in there, then we're going to add some non-chlorinated water. Non-chlorinated is very important. And then do not put this on very tight, because if you do, it will blow your lid out. I don't know if you can see that. It'll blow it out. Blew out my ring and my lid. It builds quite a bit of pressure in there. So you're just going to put that on there, kind of snug a little bit, set it off to the side. And then you take your next jar, do the same thing. Any scraps that I have left over, I'll take out to the chickens, and so nothing, trying to get to the point nothing goes to waste anymore. I'm just gonna put cabbage in there, pack it down. You definitely want clean hands before you start this. Okay, so now the fermenting process takes about 14 days. And that gets, I guess, the sauerkraut flavor that everybody's used to. You should see bubbling during the fermenting process. That's normal. And another thing also is this, I started this because of what everybody's calling gut health. Everybody's, you know, people's guts aren't making the proper enzymes and stuff that they did at one time that they're supposed to have. So I did this with gut health. They said sauerkraut was one of the best things to use for this. I love sauerkraut. I'll eat it right out of the jar. And then I found out that the sauerkraut that you buy in the store is vinegar based. It's not fermented based, and it will not do, supposedly, will not do the same thing as fermented real sauerkraut. So I got online, started looking, found some sauerkraut recipes, and this is the one I decided to try first because I don't have a crock. I'd love to have a crock. If anybody's got an extra crock, let me know, because I want one. So yeah, this is why I started doing this versus, you know, trying to buy it out of the store anymore. Plus, we're trying to get away from all of the preservatives and the other garbage that's in you know, a lot of the canned foods and jarred foods from the store. So again, we're going to take green leaf. And we're just going to use that to separate it. I don't know, here, this might be, can you see up in there? You can see all of that juice up in there. If I move my hand maybe. There's a whole lot of juice in there that it's creating on its own. We're going to take another piece of core or two. Use that to, like I said, push everything down below that level. We need another one here. Lid. If you find at any time during the fermenting process, like I said, that the level of the liquid has gone below the line of the sauerkraut that you're wanting, you have to add some water to it. Somebody also had mentioned that you could use salt water to add to the brine, to the salt brine. And that was, I believe it was a tablespoon of sea salt to a cup of water. Okay. And then again, just a loose on the jar.